for me. I kind of threw that in, you know, real thick. Well, my homeboys, after that, they went in the house thinking my mom was a bruja, so they would walk in, all these vatos, right? And they would look at her in their own little whispers. Ay, anda la bruja. Okay? But I remember that one day when I parked my bike and I was chowing down because I wanted to go back outside and play, right, with the stick game. And so my jefita tells me after I finish eating, recoge tus juguetes, load them up. That was the hint, the clue, the signal that we're moving again. My heart hit the ground, man. I thought we were going to live there forever. So I just started grabbing like a little zombie. I was grabbing my toys, putting them in the cardboard box. And my toys were nothing to brag about, but they were my toys, right? And so I got them in there, all the cooking ones and smashed ones and everything. Loaded up on the station wagon. I got my bike, took it to the top, strapped it down. I knew the routine. And my job was to get all the blankets, all the cobijas, all the easy stuff and put it in the back of the station wagon where I kind of created my own little cubby hole so I could kick back and look out the back window as we traveled. And my dad had already cleaned some dust so I could see out the window. Now I'm sitting back there kind of like in a daze, heartbroken kind of. It's like, you know, it was a bad feeling. Well, I figured I'd go out and play with my friends and say goodbye, but all of a sudden my dad starts the car. Now we're ready to leave. I never said goodbye. I wanted to tell my dad, hey, you know, wait for me. I'm going to go say goodbye, you know, despedirme. But he couldn't see me because we were packed. And I couldn't come out with the words. Nothing would come out. I was like all choked up. And I wanted to cry. I was taught not to cry. But I couldn't help it, man. I just wanted to. I didn't care. I saw Pelon out there looking at me, like staring, like what's going on, with one foot on the ground, the other one on the bicycle pedal. And as we drove away, his face got smaller and smaller until he just kind of disappeared. And I was like, man, I was all jacked up inside. But the thing was that even though I wanted to cry, I couldn't. When I got my bike for Christmas, I learned a valuable lesson about crying. See, my bike was brand new. I had never had anything brand new. My dad told me to take care of it. And one day, a big old tall kid, really tall, was stealing my bike in front of the porch. And my dad's standing right there talking to his compadre. And they're yakking away. And I pulled the sleeve under my dad and say, hey, he's taking my bike. But my dad ignores me. I say it again and again. Finally, he says, well, go get it. He didn't seem too concerned. But I can't, I told him, because he's going to beat me up. I can't take the bike. Not that I wasn't afraid to confront him, but I would never get the bike from him. And my dad just kind of like very chalant, you know, he kept on talking, and finally he looked at me when he sees me crying. He says to stop crying, go get the bike, and don't come back without it. Because if you come back without the bike, I'm going to put more hurt on you than you'll ever do. Así que arráncate. I was afraid of my own man. He hit me hard. And I took off running. And I was crying and yelling down the street as I was trying to catch up to the kid going, yeah! I caught up to him. I grabbed the bike. I yanked on it with my eyes closed. He let go. I was surprised. I turned around and I took off running with the bike. And the kid, when he looked at me, because I turned around thinking he's going to be right there, man, because he's way too tall, he's cracking up. Probably because he's tripping on me because I look all stupid and crazy, right? When I get back to the house and put down the bike, now I'm still scared, excited about the whole situation, but I'm proud. Because my dad saw me take this bike away from the kid. I had accomplished something. And he saw it. He wasn't there when I was at the soccer game and I made the winning goal. He wasn't there at the school when I won the first place in a science project. He didn't see me get the ribbon. He wasn't there for the ceremony when I got this big old fat blue ribbon and I took it home. But he was there to see what I had done with the bike. And I was standing there proud, waiting for my candies because he would give me candies when I did something good. And I'm crying still because I'm all excited and ambivalent feeling. And he's telling me in front of his compadre to stop crying, but I can't. It's just the blood coming out of excitement and a mixture of emotions. Finally, he goes to his room and he comes back, and I'm trying to stop crying so I can go ahead and get the candies. Finally, he says one more time, stop crying, ya no estoy llorando. And I can't. He pulls out his hand, and he has a belt. And I look at him thinking, oh, he's joking, so I check his other hand, nothing in it. And he tells me to turn around, pull down my pantalones, to touch my toes. I knew the routine. I was thinking, what did I do wrong? And I asked him before turning around, ¿Por qué, papá? And I'm not supposed to talk back. I look at the digo, and I turned around and bent down. I'm thinking, nah, he's gonna mess with me. He's not serious, and he starts to hit me. And he's hitting me harder than ever before. And I'm crying even more. Eventually, something happens to me that I'll never forget, man. I was no longer feeling the pain. I could see myself in the corner of the room being hit by my dad. And the feeling was terrible, man. I loved my dad. He was everything. He was my hero, man. But he was hitting me hard. And all of a sudden I get up and I grab the belt and I hang on to it. And I'm yelling at him, no more tears. And I felt like killing him at that moment. It was an ugly feeling. I told him, ¿Por qué me estás pegando? What do you hit me for? What did I do wrong? He just looks at me, a very stern face, and says, I'm teaching you a lesson, mijo. Que los hombres no lloran, the men don't cry. So don't you ever cry again. In the back of that station wagon, as we drove away, I wanted to cry. I didn't care. But nothing came out. That was the day I became a man. As a little kid, every school I went to, no more friends. Later on, I realized it was my way of not going through the same emotion of detachment. But man, everybody wanted to be my friend. Because I was the one that got into all kinds of trouble, breaking windows, getting in trouble, even hitting the teachers. I was getting expelled for this and for that. And every time they would march me to the office, I'd walk by with my head up high, my chest out, real proud of myself. But everybody wanted to be my friend. Híjola, Willie is mi camarada, he's my buddy, and this and that. I didn't care about them. I didn't want to care. One day, from Mexico, when we would go back and forth, the only kid that I grew up with that was like a friend was somebody I called my brother, mi carnal. And mi carnal, well, he was somebody I liked a lot because we grew up together with families. My parents baptized him when he was a kid. He grew up in the gang lifestyle, so did I. He had one kid, I had 4. I got out of the gang lifestyle, trying to convince him to do the same. But he wouldn't. He couldn't. And one day he's driving home. He gets into a car accident. His wife dies and Meek was alive. He makes the decision to get out. I convinced him to come and live where I live, in the area where his mother lived anyway, because it was dangerous to stay where he was at. And that's what he did. The thing was that when he died, it was a terrible time. I had to go tell his Tita what happened to him. When I found out, I told her what came down, man, about the situation with his wife and everything, right? Well, she was sad, but she understood the situation. My homeboy continued to grow older and started doing things. He worked with the Boys and Girls Club without his wife, only with his mijo. Well, one day, I go to a birthday party for little mijo, and his grandma, my homeboy's mother, tells me, ¿Dónde está mi mijo? He's not there. I go looking for him, and then I find him by a place where he's working with the kids that are involved in drugs and gangs, because he works with the Boys and Girls Club. And I find him laying on the ground. He's got a ribbon around him, and the cops there, the people are there. Everybody's staring at him like he's a dog in the street, man. I show up and I look down and I see what happens to him. He's got a bullet inside of his head, a hole big enough for your finger to fit into. I say nothing, I do nothing, no expression. They tell me to get away because I'm disturbing the evidence. I go back and I tell him that